from the mud. There's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree. There's roots where I stand. Oh, I've been running from the law. Try to catch me howling at the moon.
Hey guys, welcome back to Beer Talks, episode 2. Kirby here as well, of course, as Justin Curtis. Good old Brian Helton back with us as well. Hope you guys enjoyed the first one. We did upload it, so if you haven't had a chance to take a look, make sure to go watch it, see thoughts, ideas, all sorts of fun stuff. And today we are going to taste some local beers. One of them that is a staple to the community, I'm sure a lot of you guys have had, but got to talk about them because they're amazing. And then some brand new stuff out from Dark Sky up in Flagstaff and Bonehouse here up in Fountain Hills. So we're very excited. We're going to talk about all things light beer, differences between Pilsners, Kolsch's, Blondes, just trying to get you a little bit more information as far as what's the difference between just a general light beer. And we're very excited to try some of these. We're going to go through 4 different beers and of course answer any questions you guys have and go from there. Happy drinking.
So to cover the beers first that we're tasting, guys, I see some people logging in now. Feel free to let us know what you guys are drinking. We're going to start off with the Bonehouse up here. Bonehouse Carbide Light Blonde Ale. Then we'll move into the new Dark Sky Verano Mexican style lager. Then that staple Kirby was talking about, the Kolsch from Mother Road. And then we're going to end also with the Dark Sky, also new, brand new today, the Italian Pilsner Memento from Dark Sky.
So I know, Justin, you went up to Dark Sky on Friday this last week.
It's fun.
And got to help them can some of the beer, right?
Actually, I was probably putting these two away. I was transporting them across the brewery and helping. They didn't have the labels on them, unfortunately, but they were, that was a lot of fun. Got to hang out with Ryan up there in Dark Sky, and
nice.
It was a lot of fun. They treated us really well up there.
Lots of beer.
Lots of beer. Yes, of course. It's a great time up there. Flagstaff. I'd never really stayed in Flagstaff. Never stayed in Flagstaff for a while, so it was nice to get up there. Ryan was just in dropping these beers off today. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you. So we shall get to the tasting.
Absolutely.
The good stuff.
Yeah, let's do some Bonehouse. So this is considered a blonde ale. This is at 4% ABV and has the lightest IBUs, so it's at 10. Bonehouse, really cool. They just started in 2018, so fairly new brewery, one of the first up in Fountain Hills, kind of right by Eagle Mountain off of Shea. I had such a fun time today reading their storyline, kind of how they came up with the name. It's all based on paying homage to a lot of Arizona history, about this lost Dutchman. This guy was uncle. He came from Germany, apparently to find his uncle that found this amazing mine. Never found him, and opened a tavern called Bonehouse, named after the catacombs in Europe, to basically kind of pick stories from people and find out what might have happened. And you had said that a lot of their beer names and stuff are paying homage to different parts of Arizona history. So I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah,
you can see their artwork is killer, guys. Their artwork is insane. Local artist. He is local. Did we catch the name of the artist? We should have looked that up.
didn't.
It is
I'll
really
find
killer.
out.
All their stuff is killer. As Kirby said, it's up there, and Fountain Hills. It is a little further away, but well worth the trip. It's a really cool, funky spot if you haven't ever been there. Also, yeah, their beers are frequently named or based on loosely based on Arizona history. So it's pretty cool, right?
No, I was going to say the same thing. The artwork's amazing. The owners are really super cool and nice. Like you said, it's a little bit of a far distance for you guys to go out there, but it's well worth it. But once again, it's neat to see breweries take the Arizona history and culture and embrace it and bring it to the forefront and educate us. Like you said, we had no idea, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah. This is called Carbide Light. I forgot to mention that. Let's taste away.
So this is our only light ale that we're doing. Other than that, we're moving into either a Kolsch style, German, and then a Pilsner. So
Correct.
a great spectrum.
Very light, sweetness. Definitely get the blonde.
Absolutely.
The blonde sweetness to it.
There's almost like a biscuity kind of
Absolutely.
Yeah,
flavor
for
to
sure.
it
Yeah.
on the back end.
For sure.
Yep.
For sure. So let's talk about blondes,
Yeah.
and it being an ale versus the rest kind of
I
being
like
more.
brunettes. Oh.
Well,
Sorry.
we know your wife's a brunette. Sorry. Let's talk about blonde beers per se, not blonde people. What are some kind of like the core staples of it to call it a blonde, to make it an ale versus something else?
Just on the basics, I mean, there's either an ale or a lager, let's say, and that's the differentiation between, a style of the beer, right? That's the yeast strain that we use. So you're going to get a little bit more of a fruit-forward character with that, not so dry or crisp that you're going to get with a lager strain. Typically, I'm sure you guys are going to kill me on this one, but I don't think there's really such thing as a light ale style originally. Kolsch, we can say, all right, came from Cologne, Pilsner, all right, Germany. But, I don't think anyone actually said this is a light ale, and it came from that area. So there's not an area that light ale came from. A lot of times breweries will do a light ale because of time and space and money that they don't want to bring in a lager strain, So it's their way of bringing in the masses that are used to drinking a lighter style, very not hoppy, let's say, or not malty beer, and appease them. So the yeast strain is laying around, we can do a light ale. But it's lacking the characteristics of a true lager or Pilsner, but it also is lacking the malt character or the hop character that now you're talking to the masses to introduce them to craft beer. So it's a great gateway drug, so to speak, of, the yeast strains laying around, you can burn and turn it in 2 weeks. It's easy to do to the point that we can get it to the person that walked in that's not really used to craft beer, and it's like, all right, here's the beer, and they're going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the characteristics of it, but they tend to be a little bit more on the fruitier side than a lager. You can say that easy.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
Especially with this too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I know this is anytime my brother-in-law is not a hop drinker, tends to just kind of stick to the super light stuff, and this is exactly what I would give him.
Right.
Yeah.
If he was
Absolutely.
to come in and he's like, whatever's closest to like
Budweiser.
Budweiser, yeah, or Coors Light, or something really
Right.
simple, and this is perfect for
But
Yeah.
that.
notice how on your palate how the flavors linger a little bit longer
Yeah.
than what we're going to go to next. Besides the Kolsch, it's kind of designed that way. But when you're looking at a lager and an ale, the big difference is kind of that. Especially on the lighter style, the flavors are going to linger here a little bit. Where on a lager, you're going to get more of that crisp, clean finish, so to speak, where those esters aren't going to be hanging around your nasal cavities, reminiscent of flavors that you're picking up.
Interesting. Cool. All right.
Didn't fully realize that, I don't think.
Right? Design.
This guy knows what he's talking about.
Yeah. we brought him so we don't look stupid.
They just get me drunk so I sound stupid.
Perfect. I will say, while you're pouring the next one, I had a couple of friends that were really new to this whole craft beer industry and everything, and not gonna lie, of course they're like, well, we'll watch because we want to support you and we appreciate you, and they came up to me last week after the first episode and said, I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was gonna be really boring, but that dude Brian was so interesting, and they made it sound really cool, and they're just like, I'm so fascinated now. So kudos
That
to you,
dude
and
Brian.
thank you. That dude Brian.
Dude Brian.
And that's a great thing for you guys to realize. It's like, when we design the beers, it's not like we just sit there and just like write stuff down real quick and go, oh, let's just make this. It sounds cool, We put a lot of thought, energy, and time into it. We talk to other brewers making this stuff. We talk to our malt purveyors, our hop farmers. We talk to the White Labs, Chris White. We have this crazy idea, this stuff in our head that somehow gets translated to liquid that you guys enjoy. But believe me, we're almost insane thinking about our recipes and how we can make these small nuances that you guys enjoy. But there's a reason for every flavor and everything that you taste in a beer. It should be there, or sometimes it's accidentally perfect. Every time. It's that concept. So.
All right. So next one here, that new Dark Sky Verano Mexican style. It's Brian. You think you can get the hops in this one?
On this one?
Think so?
And I'll say this.
Challenging?
No, and I'll say this too. Even you beer geeks that think you can, or brewers, don't ever try to, because it's kind of bullshit, man. When I did a hop selection on Cascade, we all know Cascade. I did 32 rubs on Cascade, and my notes were extremely different from lot to lot. So just because you think you know a certain hop, Citra or Cascade, you really don't. I mean, you might get lucky. But do yourself a favor and don't try to be that know-it-all guy at the bar. I'm getting Mosaic. Possibly. There's some great characteristics, yes, but I guarantee I can give you another beer with Mosaic that you're not going to get it. It's almost like a varietal wine. Do you really think you can get the left bank Cabernet every time? It's like, so sometimes better to keep your mouth shut than rely all doubt that you're an idiot.
We've definitely seen a few of those at any bar you've ever been to. Dark Sky, I know, just celebrated their fifth year anniversary, which is awesome. So big congrats to them.
Absolutely.
We love any of their beers, really. I mean, I'm a huge sucker
Keep bringing
for
them
their
down,
sours.
Yeah, Ryan's like the evil genius. Anytime I have a sour question, I'll call Ryan first. He's massively intelligent when it comes to sours and what they're doing up there. And I don't know if you guys know this out there, but what they're doing on such a small system, I have never seen another brewer put out so high quality beer on such a small system as they're doing.
Yeah.
I did not realize that they were that small until I got up there last week. I did not. And they're pumping out delicious beer.
Absolutely.
High quantities.
Yeah.
They're doing Ryan told me they were doing 170 beers a year. Different beers.
Yeah.
Different
Yeah.
beers. Yeah. 170 different beers.
It's crazy. Well, and I think when I was looking on their website and stuff and just kind of checking things out, it said they had over 551 recipes.
551.
551.
Don't forget.
Yeah, this is the one.
This is 550 and 551 here.
It's crazy. I mean, that's an average of over 100.
And that's
beers
the
a
maddening
year.
thing about this industry. I mean, there are certain people that are in it, doing it. There's people like Ryan that's doing it. He's the one that's keeping up all night thinking, all right, I should be sleeping, but next time I do this beer, I want to do this, this, and that. And that's why he's doing so many different recipes. It's maddening. I mean, perfection is never achieved. You're just never happy. Next time you brew it, you want to do this, you want to change this, you want to add that. He's definitely one that does it. And also another aspect of being a quality brewer is being consistent. Mountain Road Mosaic is always consistent as well. So when you get up there and palate fatigue because you've been drinking all day, or he takes you back into the barrel room and you've been pulling plugs all day and nails and you're soured out, you go back to that beer and it's consistent. It's one of my favorite beer.
I haven't had it.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
In years. No, in years. I've had it.
I always finish my
years
night
since
there
I've
with
had
that.
Yeah.
I'll go through the whole shebang of everything. And it's like, all right, give me the Mosaic. Let's keep it going.
Yeah.
It's consistent. That's what makes you realize they're great brewers when you can do a consistent product every single time. Whether last year is the same thing as this year. It's great. So
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Matt And no one likes all of the fresh beer styles, flavors until they jump out of that comfort zone. I agree.
Yeah.
Sergio says, "Hey yo."
Hey yo, that's
Hey
the
yo.
brother-in-law I was telling
That's
you
the
about.
brother-in-law. we got your beer, Sergio. It's right here.
Yeah.
Yep. And then Matt, the dude of the beer industry. Matt, are you talking about Ryan or Brian?
Probably both.
They're both dudes of the industry.
Yeah. So this one by Darkside, this is their newest. It's a Mexican style lager.
Yeah.
This one's still low ABV, 4.5%. A little bit higher IBUs as well. So you're going to get a little bit more of that bitter kind of hoppy. Bitters flavor at least. That's what my palate recognizes when I think about this. But
question for you: what she's saying, Mexican style lagers may have a bitterness or something that some people are saying. What is that?
Not really.
It's not a bitterness. What is that flavor?
it's the wrong word. I just can't think of what else
To start with, I mean, the Mexican brewers came from Vienna, how that all worked, and they just actually happened to get down there, so to speak, and that's a whole 3-hour dissertation on me if I would like start bullshitting you.
Ryan was talking about that actually on Friday.
It's the Vienna malt and where it grew and how it grew. But really, when it comes to the hop, aspects of a Mexican, cerveza, there is no such thing. But because Vienna was so close to the Bavarian area, the Saaz hops, still that peppery note that you want to get, it's still always going to be present. So, if Saaz is there and you have a good German or any type of lager characteristics that's still present, it's kind of an open field for interpretation. Unfortunately, Americans and their dumbass aspect of Corona, Mexican lagers, what they think is kind of pigeonholed us as like, well, what do you expect? So that's one area to look at. The other side of the hourglass is open-ended, right? So now we can give you guys whatever the hell you want, and you guys don't know, because what defines a Mexican cerveza? Really nothing.
Yeah.
Right? So now we're open to throw a lot of new hops at you guys to let you, experiment and be like, oh wow, that's amazing. So what we're really trying to do is make a sessionable, easy drinking, somewhat hop characteristics that you can taste compared to Corona, which is, a bunch of hop, extract, but you're not going to taste any aromas or smell any aromas. So it's kind of a new feel that a lot of us are having a lot of fun with. So, but what does it do? In your mind, you hear Mexican cerveza, you think sitting by the pool, vacation, quaffable or poundable beers, they'll say. So you can have multiples. So as long as we hit that, everyone's happy with it. But it still needs to be somewhat fruit forward when it comes on the hot little citrus notes. But other than that, as long as Saaz is in there and it's crisp and dry and easy to drink, you're good to go.
So the Saaz is kind of a staple of Mexican lagers.
No. Saaz is a staple of actually German Pilsner. Absolutely. So
Makes
when you're
sense.
talking about any type of Pilsner, it's got to be Saaz in there.
Okay.
If you're talking the German side. So that gives that. If you guys will pick up on a little pepper note in there.
Yeah.
That's coming from the sauce.
Yeah.
100%.
I can definitely taste the Matueca on that too. Is that Matueca?
Yeah.
Oh, I could read. I could read a can.
Big
You're
Mac.
probably the only one that can pronounce it correctly. Because we spent time with them.
We actually made we did a collaboration that had that in
Yeah.
it. So
Nice.
did I said it right? So many people say
I will never take these hops and actually try to pronounce it correctly.
so many people
because I
say it
wrong.
different. Matueca, Matueca.
Yeah.
Well, it's something I've noticed about a lot of Mexican style lagers, I guess. It almost tastes or smells a little skunky to me, almost like like weed that you get when you were in high school kind of thing. Not that I ever did.
In high school?
From New Mexico. We had our ways. We were weird, but it smells like that to me. It reminds me kind of that kind of skunky, earthiness.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's interesting. Maybe that's where I think of bitter. 'Cause
Mama Kempson
the smell.
in
Hey,
town.
Mama Kemp.
Family is in.
The fam. Hi, Mom. Sweet.
All right, we ready for the Kolsch?
Yeah, let's do it. So Mother Road, also out of Flagstaff.
Yeah, we didn't do that on purpose, but
They're just Flagstaff produces some really great beer.
They
And
do.
I know
Absolutely.
we
They
talked
do.
about it a little bit last time that especially with certain beers, that those colder temperatures really benefit them in being able to produce some different ones
Oh yeah.
versus
The water
seasonally.
up there.
Water, and even the carbonation levels. And I preach this constantly to people, and they don't realize it. But the carbonation levels and the altitude that they have to package the beer by the time it gets down here, or what we perceive, and then you go up there. Carbonation and mouthfeel and perception of that it's going to totally take precedence on what you're tasting. So people don't realize mouthfeel is huge. And carbonation gives that essence of what you're tasting. So absolutely.
Yeah. I read cool story about Mother Road and where they got their name. It was actually based, their family was doing a road trip, camping and everything through Arizona, and just kind of decided to stay, and they were influenced by John Steinbeck's Grapes of Wrath,
Right.
and how he called Route 66 the Mother Road, and that's where they came up with their name, and they just decided to stay. So they've been around. Gosh, when did they open?
9 years ago, right? Didn't they just have their 9 years?
Almost hitting 10
Yeah.
soon.
They did a cool collab with all the nine breweries
Right?
up there.
Yeah, that's
The
cool.
9 Lager, that's what it was called. Yeah, the beer was really good. The 9 Lager, all those 9 Flagstaff breweries up there, they all collabed on it. That was Mother Road's anniversary beer this year.
Sweet.
It's really good. Yeah.
So I don't know if all of you guys are actually buying these beers prior to us tasting them. If you are, this is a great time for you to stop, pour another sample, and smell all 3 of them now, because this is what I want you guys to pick up. The first one, you got that kind of, fruity esters coming from an ale, right? Then we went to a lager. You got that crisp, dry, a little bit of sulfur coming from that lager strain. This one, the Cologne, has its own water chemistry, which we're not going to dive too much in or talk about the recipe on what Mother Road's doing. But what this yeast strain is doing, it gives this unique type of almost Chardonnay. Not the buttery, not diacetyl by no means. We're not saying that. What we're saying is that sweet Chardonnay grape. So all 3 yeast strains are producing these esters that you guys can smell that are a great example of a light beer, but they're all totally, totally different. And all these beers are derived mostly, well, not on the malt, right? It's clear, right? Hops, not so much. These beers are all about the actual yeast strain that we're using. So this is a great example of having all 3. So if you guys are drinking these, stop and go from 1, 2, and 3 and notice that. Smell them and taste them and notice that, right?
Absolutely. It's funny, once you said that and I redid it, I noticed all of that.
Right?
It's cool.
Yeah.
This is one of the staples in Arizona in general. I would say probably one of the most popular
Absolutely.
just Arizona beers in general.
Yeah.
Tower Station along with it. If you haven't had Tower Station, try that one too. I love the new cans. They're not super new anymore, but it's Conserve and Protect. They used to have, funny story here. If you guys noticed, they used to have the big pull tops. You guys ever seen those?
Yeah.
What are those called? The wide mouth can.
Oh gosh, yeah. There's a name for the tops.
There's a name for them.
We can't get them. That's why no one can. It's hard to get.
Yeah, it was so funny story about that is they used to have it not too long ago. They used to have it, but turns out Mother Road is so popular up there in Flagstaff, and they love their environment up there so much. There was just way too many of those pop tops in the environment, so they actually went back to a normal can top. But and they've also put on the Conserve and Protect. So they are definitely about the environment, as is a lot of Flagstaff up there. But that's a funny little story. They were finding those pop tops everywhere.
Oh, jeez. Shame on all of you for littering.
Yeah, right.
It's terrible. Yeah, I know. A lot of those cans, you'll get them with the yellow label on the top with the Conserve and Protect, and they are doing a whole thing where they're giving a lot of those proceeds back to the Arizona Game and Fish Department.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is really cool to help support them. So what, you mentioned a little bit about Kolsch's being from Cologne. What's kind of the distinguishing factor of that? If someone was to look at a board and go,
Well,
blonde versus Kolsch, or you know.
yeah. Understand that American brewers, when we brew a style of beer, we're basically mimicking a style that historically has been indigenous to what was in the brewer's backyard. Their water chemistry, such as in Cologne, their yeast, and the grain was one of the coolest things I've ever seen when I was over there in Germany. Is I seen a mural of the wheat belt compared to the aspect of where grapes were grown. So you can see where beer was heavily influenced, or wine was heavily influenced throughout history. When you're looking at the aspect of, a Kolsch, you guys might also be noticeable an alt. A German alt uses the same yeast strain as the actual Kolsch. So if you guys are fans of a malty beer and a lighter beer, and this is kind of synonymous with a lot of places over in Germany, that they have a light style, which, you can look at a Helles in Bavarian, and then you can look at a Dunkel, that's their dark beer. So over here, in Cologne, you have a Kolsch, but their dark beer is an alt. So we're not really reinventing the wheel here, people. We're using these styles that have been historically given to these brewers that they had indigenous to their backyard, pure and simple. But if you taste the two together, you'll notice that, yeast strain. We as brewers, we know this, but you guys don't. Recipes really don't mean shit. We share them with everybody,
That's how you share them.
It's your system, how
Go
you
ahead.
brew them. It's
Make
your
it better than
water
me.
chemistry. But it's also more about the yeast than anybody would love to admit. It's like we can put these ingredients together and we can fabricate them in our minds and on paper and then brew it. But the yeast, at the end of the day, they're making the ethanol. They're making all these flavored compounds. So it's really all about it. So this is a great example of a yeast that can be utilized on a very easy light drinking beer, Kolsch, or like I said, a more of a amberish kind of light brown alt that a lot of you guys enjoy. So, but notice that, pay more attention to the yeast, because in all reality, as brewers, we're stainless steel cleaners and we're fucking yeast farmers.
Yeah.
We make them happy.
Yeah.
They make you happy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's funny because there's been several beers recently, like the Sierra Nevada, the benefit beer for the fires in California. They sent out the exact same recipe to thousands of breweries. I tasted probably 10 of them, and they were all different.
Totally different.
Same recipe, but different. And now what is it? The Altogether, Altogether, that other half started, and many other breweries around here, Wren House, I think, did one, and Oso. So. Yeah, those.
It's really all about the
different.
yeast. The yeast is going to dictate the ending flavor compounds. I mean, it makes the ethanol, which makes us all warm and fuzzy and lappy, but it also makes all these other flavor compounds and it makes around 7 or 8 different alt flavors that our job is going to blow threshold so you can't taste them. So yeast is a major component of the beer that it gets overlooked a lot. It's like no one talks about a yeast. You've never seen a beer represented just because of the yeast. You see mosaic and citra hops and you see it all over the place, right?
Yeah.
You ever seen a yeast strain? 830. You ever seen a beer that says 830?
Right.
So it's a lot of market development right there, but at the same time, it's all about the yeast, man. It really is.
This beer is phenomenal. I love this beer. This is Italian style. So I wanted to kind of touch. We don't need to necessarily go into all the different types of pilsners, but I know that you have a German style, a Czech style, Italian style.
Yeah, Bohemian.
Bohemian style, yeah. What makes, is it the yeast? We must have just talked about yeast today.
Yeah. Well, I kind of wish Ryan was here because I really don't know shit about Italian style. I got a couple of my good friends over there in Italy that
Ryan, feel free to chime in.
Yeah, jump in, Ryan, please. Educate us because we don't know. I don't want to talk about this. But yeah, Italians, I know that the Pilsner has always been a number one selling beer over there. And 10 years ago, 2 of my buddies opened up a brewery there, and they were having a very difficult time getting craft going because everyone just wanted a Pilsner. So what dictates this as, an Italian style? Someone jump in. I'm not going to touch this with a 10-foot pole.
All right. Yeah, so that's... I've had very few Italian Pilsners, but everyone... I think it's quickly becoming my favorite style Pilsner.
Yeah.
They seem to be sweeter.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that is, but I've had Modern Times had one, Wren House I believe had one. This one's delicious. I've had several. Every single one I absolutely love, and I think it's got a little sweetness to it. Do you
Sure.
agree?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it has a little bit. So one of the things I actually read up on, because I was curious too about Italian style pilsners. The base of them is actually a lot more focused on the malt that they use, and I'm gonna butcher the name of it, but Ireclia. Ireclia? Yeah, I'm saying it right. Ireclia,
Come on, pronounce it, Brian.
Ireclia.
I told you I ain't talking.
Something like that. It's not, but
Oh, it's got that Matsueka in it too.
yeah, and the Matsuega, same kind of thing. The Saaz,
Yeah.
definitely is the base of it. So Saaz, the fun one you like to say, and the malt. It seems to be that if you're going to make an Italian style pilsner, that's
The base.
The base.
The backbone.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of play with it and do that. So I thought that was interesting. Definitely wants to be sort of floral, fruit forward, but have that crisp break to the taste. So definitely like what you had mentioned from the first one with the blonde, where it kind of lingers and you get a little bit of that still. This is meant to just, it's drink, you taste it, it's crisp, it's gone.
Yeah.
So you don't get a lot of the lingering kind of part to
That's
it,
so good.
which
Yeah.
is really
I
cool.
love that one.
I think this one's the highest, not that we're that high, highest ABV at roaring 5%. So still super crushable, can day drink
drinking.
by the pool and
Yeah.
kind of chill out. So
This one, to me, is like any type of food. I'd be like enjoying this like out the ass. I mean, it's like this is like I can go with any type of food, stand
Oh, yeah.
up to it. I mean, certain things about light beer too. Just keep in mind if you guys are doing progressive brewers dinners or cheese pairings, certain types of foods can't stand up to certain beers, and that's what we're talking about, light beers today, right? So this one could definitely stand up, but it's not so hop forward or malt forward that it stands alone. Because you want that delicate balance on your, palate. But this one definitely can go with a lot of great foods. So, yeah, this is extremely enjoyable.
let's talk about because we had mentioned it a little bit, and I actually 99.9% of all brewers say this when they're brewing a pilsner, not just particularly Italian style, but in general, it's one of the most difficult beers to make.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, a Pilsner tells no lies. We talked about...
What do you mean by that? What does that mean?
Every beer, every yeast strain, put it this way, is could be debatable on plus or minus like 3 or 4, let's say, but every yeast strain will develop 7 to 8 different off flavors, right?
Okay.
And like I said, I already said this earlier, our job is to get them below threshold so you cannot taste them. So if a yeast strain is developing these off flavors and we go above threshold, well, we're talking maybe 5 or 10 ppms or even ppbs, you can get it. If you have a lot of hops like an IPA, and I'm going to say this, which all you home brewers are going to blow us up and hate me right this is why home brewers always love to do IPAs, because all those hops can mask these off flavors. So now their neighbors or friends and everyone thinks, oh, you're a badass brewer. We love your beer. Well, sure.
You
All
should
those
go into
IBUs
business.
at 90 IBUs, you don't taste this acetaldehyde. You don't
taste anything.
yeah. Then we get that. That's fine. I mean, that's how we all get into it. But when you really branch it and take it all the way down to the fundamental element that the yeast is producing this, and can you control the yeast? Can you, use your microscope and invite the right amount of yeast to the party that needs to be and contain them to not produce this? That's our goal, right? Now let's take the other spectrum. Let's say a stout or even a brown ale. We had all these molten caramel malts or roasted malts, and black malts.
Now we're talking.
Yeah,
This is famous.
at the same time, you're covering it up, So it's like all these off flavors you'll never notice, It's like, you just imagine taking, let's say the most delicate flavor in the world, but pour coffee over it. Can you taste it? No, it covers it.
Yeah.
So what's really difficult when you're doing these light beers is what's absent. extreme amount of hops, right?
Right.
Okay. We've seen IBUs tonight all the way from 10 to 31, 32, right? So
Yeah.
hops are out of the equation. So when you think about IPAs at
Killing it.
70 to 100, hops are out, right? Now, malt. Malt's there because the color and the roast character. It's all Pilsner malt, Munich malt, base malts, Vienna. These are all very, very... So now malt's out. So now you're really standing on one
Okay.
leg of a stool.
All right.
It's a three-legged stool, right?
Yeah.
2 legs are gone. You're standing on one leg. In other words, we're saying, are you a clean brewer? Are you brewing with healthy yeast that's not going to produce these off flavors? Because if it does, like I said, a Pilsner will tell no lies. You're screwed. We'll
Yeah.
taste them. And they're in every single beer. We have to mitigate the damage of these off flavors. So health yeast, how we handle that, that's what can get translated to you guys. That you're just like, wow, I'm smelling, cabbage, cooked corn, acetaldehyde, reverse, diacetyl, butter, butterscotch. I can go on and
Where's
on
this
and
beer?
on, So, and everybody's different, and that's what's really cool about thresholds and everybody, how we do our triangle tasting and figure out where you're at. But some people are really, keen to dimethyl sulfide or, we get that knowledge and we utilize that. It's like, all right, where are you tasting this? So everyone's different. We're all a walking chemical factory. But that's what's so difficult about doing these beers. And of course an ale is the easiest one to do. There's so much fruited character that can mask it. Kolsch, all right, that's very difficult as well, but that's the second easiest. But a Pilsner or a typical, that's kind of the hardest. There's nothing there. I mean, you're literally talking water chemistry, Pilsner malt, and yeast health. If you mess up on any of those, you're going to taste it.
Yeah,
That's why it's so difficult.
Yeah.
Well, I know. Hi, everyone that's saying hi. Feel free to throw in some questions if
We
you
did-
guys have for.
I wanted to just kind of throw out.
Anyone
Amanda
like to
says,
have-
hey Amanda. Thanks for joining us. Matt again. Matt, I think we answered, what legitimate, excuse me, that's a verb.
What legitimately makes
What
a Kolsch? Yeah, I think
legitimately
we-
makes a Kolsch. I think he touched on that. Matt, if there's anything more you want to know about that, let us know. And then,
Well, and I know.
yeah.
Bringing up off flavors. This was a conversation you and I had a few weeks ago, just kind of before starting all of this. You had talked about that there are actually some beers and
Sure.
some brewers
Oh,
that
yeah.
intentionally
Yeah.
focus on an off flavor.
Yeah, and this is okay. This is not talking shit about the industry because we utilize this in the industry for training, all the way from the Cicerone to the VA, pretty much. That certain beers, especially we're moving back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, that would accentuate certain off flavors to distinguish their beers from everybody else. So everybody from the East Coast, we all know Rolling Rock, right? That's all full of dimethyl sulfide, about 2 or 3 ppms above threshold. So you get that flavor, and it makes their beer taste a little bit different than, Yinglings, let's say, East Coast back then. Budweiser compared to Miller Lite, they have a little bit more acetaldehyde, which is, to some people could say, maybe Jolly Rancher, Green Apple, just a tad bit. You're not going to taste it, but
Yeah.
if you taste it too, besides everyone's like corn, rice base, everyone knows those two. All right, bypass that. Get to the yeast, and that's what I'm saying. If you guys really want to hone your skills on beer, quit talking about fucking hops and fucking malt. It's about the yeast. Look at that one. Red Hook. We all know Red Hook, right?
Red Hook.
Yeah.
Look at the Red Hook. That's a little
That's
bit of
good.
diacetyl, just a tad bit. So, when it comes to these larger scale guys, it's all about mixing, and the chemists are the real guys in the background, taking, 2,000 barrels, 500 barrels from this fermenter, 200. They blend to get consistency, but that's where they said, hey, we're going to make our flag. This is where we stand. This is our flavor compound, and that's how they kind of develop it. And it's kind of a great marketing, ploy, because we all love Rolling Rock if you're from the West Coast or East Coast. So that's kind of what
From
what
Ohio
happens,
and Rolling
you know?
Rock. Rolling Rock brings back memories.
The green bottle, put it
The
all
green
together.
bottle,
Yeah.
for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. Love the
I-
Rolling Rock.
I think Rolling Rock and probably Killian's. I think were like
Killian's,
the
Right?
first
Killian's?
couple
Absolutely.
of what was craft beer
Craft.
that I first got into, and
Yeah.
then Stella. I think Stella's kind of one of
Stella.
those two.
Tattie's Porter was one of my first one. Tattie's Porter like blew me out of the water. I'm like, are you kidding me? You know, Sammy Smith. You know, so
Samson, yeah.
it's just kind of neat to see, but
Is Red Dog craft?
I think Red Dog is what? That was a Budweiser
What was
thing.
Red Dog? Whatever
It was like an ice lager or something they started doing. There's another whole series about doing ice beers. You know, that's kind of a fun history.
We'll
too.
definitely get it.
Yeah.
One of these days we'll do ice
Save
beers.
that one. For,
Ice beers, yeah.
for
Keystone
later, for
Ice.
sure. Woo, natty ice. Are we?
I don't know how many
Are we
craft
gonna do a
ice-
whole episode on seltzers?
Oh God.
No. When we draw the line
Sorry,
there, guys.
no
Sorry,
White Claw
sorry.
But I think what the big takeaway from today is, you know, we all talk about hop forward beers and multi beers and, you know, cool things that are up and coming. But when you're dealing with the delicacy of the lighter beers, it's really the true art of a brewer because, like I said, these all flavors are in every single beer. We are dealing with very limited flavor compounds to mask our all flavors. And so yeast health practices, how good the brewer is, dictates how they, you know, refine these beers so you can enjoy them. So the more clean they are, will kind of showcase how good that brewer really is. And it's hard, man, you know, and when brewers aren't putting out a consistent light beer, there's a reason for it. Just gonna say that, you know.
Or keeping an eye.
Just gonna say that. It is hard. So enjoy these.
These are
don't down 'em,
delicious.
you know.
So we just got these in today. So I don't know how many people actually got the Dark Sky stuff under their belt, but we got plenty of it today. We got a lot of it today. It should be good to go for the next.
Absolutely. And by all means, you know, go over to Helton as well. They have a great Pilsner.
Their Pilsner.
The Valley Venom, right?
Valley
Saying that
Venom?
right,
Valley
yes.
Venom. And your Mexican lager.
Yeah, we're about ready to start another batch of another Mexican cerveza. We haven't figured out exactly how, but yeah. It is something.
Yeah, it's.
Go check them out.
Always
Get
look forward to that.
Get your poolside beers for sure.
Really
Love
quickly,
it.
Brian, you guys open this week?
Yeah, we opened on Monday. Everything's been great. So thank you guys for all your support. And like I keep saying, it's like, you know, in the next 2 or 3 months, that's when all these small businesses and brewers are going to need you more than ever. You know, summertime comes, everything kind of slopes down. So if we all can get to October, November, that's when we can all celebrate. But to keep it up, please keep buying beers locally. Go to your places like Casual Pint, buy local beers, support them. Go to your breweries, buy us at the grocery stores. Just support. I mean, you vote with your dollars, so this is what we need.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're looking forward to opening Friday.
Yeah,
So we're very, very excited.
See everybody's faces.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
I can't wait. I've seen a few of you already just in the last couple days
Yeah.
stopping in, and it's been wonderful. So
Any other questions, guys? It looks like I didn't see anything else. Before we wrap up, we'd like to thank Bonehouse up there in Fountain Hills for the
They're doing a great job.
Carbide Light. They're young.
Yeah, they're
They're
doing
young.
a great job.
Yeah.
They're young.
their
So-
artwork. We're gonna find out who does it because
Yeah,
we have a couple hanging.
He's out of
Pictures
Tempe,
here and-
Tempe or Mesa. Sorry if I'm wrong on that. Sorry, Tempe or Mesa. Mother Road. Thank you, and then of course Dark Sky. You want to touch on what we're doing next week?
Absolutely. So we are completely flipping the spectrum.
Yeah.
We obviously doing light beers this week. We are going to go to the complete, totally other side and do barrel aging. So excited. We're going to be featuring the guys, Dustin and Mike, over at Helio Basin, another phenomenal local brewery just down the street on Thomas and 36th?
38th.
Kind of around there.
Yeah.
They're phenomenal. They've got some new wine and whiskey cellar barrel aging, and we're just going to get into that. What is the difference between why they choose to barrel age certain beers, how long they can last? Is it something that you yourself can buy and save, or is it something that needs to be drank immediately? Barrel aging light beers and dark beers, and we'll get into some different stouts and choices of barrel and process and all of that fun
Cool.
goodness. Justin will be super happy because it's his
Yeah,
favorite type of beer.
that's my stuff.
Hey, go
Brian,
ahead.
we're gonna give Brian the week off.
And go ahead and
You're
prepare
welcome to
your-
come.
Yeah. No,
come
not with
down.
those two. They're amazing. But prepare your questions because, you know, you talk about some of the most educated guys in the industry that knows this area. If you guys have any questions about any of the barrel aging, which I'm sure you should have a lot, you know, get them ready. Not too many questions came through tonight, but next week, hit him up. Dustin is absolutely a genius in this area. So ask away. I mean, you're open to a wealth of knowledge with this guy.
Absolutely. And by all means, if you watch this later or anything, feel free to post questions. We will share them the following week.
Absolutely.
Or at least get back to you
Yeah,
on
for sure.
Facebook. So
Cool.
thank you guys very
Thanks,
much.
guys. We will hopefully see you at Helton and Friday for us.
Absolutely.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Enjoy.